You can't even define fascism. I challenge Kamala to tell us what it is, because a majority of the country doesn't know the word. She needs non-college educated blacks, whites, and Hispanics to turn out for her. And she is smearing her rival as with a mid-20th century European political philosophy. Okay, Jessica.
You think people don't know what Hitler is?
She's calling him a fascist. Go out on the street, ask 20 people what that...
There is no shortage of disingenuous hosts at the Fox propaganda outlet, which makes it so difficult to pick your least favorite. Of course, there is Shan Hannity, Laura Ingraham, but the one who really comes to mind most for me, the most disingenuous of them all, is Jesse Waters, constantly lying, pushing conspiracies, and like I said, in the most disingenuous way possible. We know he is a liar, and he wears it with that smug grin of his, which makes what happened tonight so incredible. As many of you may know, Jesse Waters, a MAGA Republican, his mom is a pretty hardcore Democrat. I don't know what went wrong there, but something clearly did, and Jesse's mom has called into his show a couple of times before. But the interaction that Jesse had with his mom tonight that brought him to the verge of tears might be the best of them all, and we are going to get into that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way and really means the world to me. Now, like I said, Jesse was not necessarily happy tonight. And I think what caused that, other than the interaction that we're going to see with his mom, is this clip with Jessica Tarlow right here.
And then the podcast thing explodes, and you're listening to guys talk the way guys talk without corporate trying to get down their necks, and so it's kind of free. And then all of a sudden, Trump reemerges onto the scene after January 6th, and he's like the alpha that you've been missing, right? He's got the hot model wife, golf courses, real estate tycoon. He's like your wealthy granddad that can hang. And everyone's kind of looking at him like, wow, this guy's cool. He's playing golf with #1 ranked golfers. He's gotten a second look. They're down with it. And the Democrats don't know what hit him.
Yeah, he is playing golf with Bryson DeChambeau and the rest of them. I mean, the Nelk boys on the plane. I mean, what is Kamala doing to get the male vote other than sending out Waltz, who gets a coach who gets booed at football games?
Oh. If you want to play the booed game, there's plenty of footage of Donald Trump getting booed, and we'll see how it all
talk about Kamala and how she's getting men on her team.
I'm saying it has been an issue for the campaign.
Yeah, 100%. What is she doing?
She has an agenda to lift up all Americans, the opportunity economy. I can go through all of it, but we're not going to do as well with men as we should have. But there is a flip side to this coin, and the other side of that is that women don't like Donald Trump, and guess what? Women vote in bigger numbers than men do. There's this video circulating on social media of a conservative commentator interviewing 3 or 4 girls on a college campus about why they're voting for Kamala. And they're talking about reproductive health care. They're talking about having a right to have an abortion, if they want an abortion, if they end up needing an abortion, and he's mocking them. And you see in the comments people mocking them. Mock at your own risk, because people take this issue very seriously. It's the reason that Kamala Harris is going to Houston tomorrow, not only to be with Beyonce. It better not be Leon Panetta. I just want Beyonce tomorrow. But she's going to talk about the abortion issue and what that looks like for people like Kate Cox. There's a story today out in Rolling Stone about a woman who found out at 5 months, she lives in Florida, that her child, the fetus had Potter syndrome and would not survive. They weren't able to give her an abortion, which was what was recommended by the doctor. She had to carry that fetus another 3.5 months to deliver it, only so it would die. You think that's
great?
Okay?
This is really good for a segment on men, Jessica.
Yes.
This is the reason.
She has a husband, by the way, who's devastated too.
Great. I love that you brought that story into this. The bottom line here is that,
as a young politically involved man myself, I can say that my generation doesn't really look up to you, Jesse. I don't know why you think you have the finger on the pulse of the 18 to 34 male demographic in this country. You certainly don't like. I always say you're kind of just disingenuous, weird, and kind of a goof, and really just a Trump stow. And Jessica makes a much more compelling argument than you do. Obviously not a shock, and clearly hurting Jesse's feelings there. Jessica calling him out, but it didn't end there, because Jesse continued his lies in this clip right here.
You can't even define fascism. I challenge Kamala to tell us what it is, because a majority of the country doesn't know the word. She needs non-college educated blacks, whites, and Hispanics to turn out for her, and she is smearing her rival as with a mid-20th century European political philosophy. Okay, Jessica.
People don't know what Hitler is?
She's calling him a fascist. Go out on the street, ask 20 people what that means,
send Johnny
Jessica.
on the Hitler patrol.
I will. Don't you send my...
The Fox propaganda outlet will really just come up with any excuse at this point for Donald Trump, him being a fascist, which is an almost, at this point, admittedly, Jesse says, isn't a problem, because most Americans don't know the formal definition of fascism, so he can be a dictator on day one if he wants. He can attack the enemy from within. If he wants, what type of argument is that it is the type of argument that has Jesse's mom always mad at him, and Jesse brought that up on the show and shared some details about that relationship, like I said earlier, that you can hear it as voice cracking a little bit. Birch tears didn't make him very happy.
Deb from Minneapolis, maybe Tulsi should have Thanksgiving with your family. I'm actually not having dinner with my mom and my dad this Thanksgiving. I've not been invited. I don't think it has anything to do with politics, but I'm not sure.
Even if Jesse Waters was my son, I don't think I would want him at Thanksgiving either. And I don't believe him. Like, I don't believe anything he says when he says that it's not for political reasons. Maybe that was a bit of a joke. I don't think that his family is all that happy with him and the person that he is and the people who he advocates on behalf of, if they have any sense, which clearly his mom does, again, unfortunately, didn't seem to trickle down. But what I'll say is, maybe Jesse, Watt's mom, should be on Fox. Instead, maybe we get her a show. Maybe she takes over the 8 o'clock hour. I think it would be beneficial to us all in calling out MAGA. And speaking of calling out MAGA, and on Jesse's just ridiculous point about Donald Trump as a fascist earlier, someone who was calling out Donald Trump's fascistic tendencies was President Obama tonight.
But here's the interesting thing. Is he acts so crazy, and it's become so common that people no longer take it seriously. I'm here to explain to you, just because he acts goofy does not mean his presidency wouldn't be dangerous. And you do not have to take my word for it. Lately, some of the people who know Donald Trump best have been saying in no uncertain terms that he should not be president again. The other day, General John Kelly, Donald Trump's former chief of staff, said that Trump told him he wanted his generals to be like Hitler's generals. Now, don't boo. Vote. Now, I want to explain that in politics, a good rule of thumb is don't say you want to do anything like Hitler. You know, that's just good political advice. But it is useful because it gives us a window into how Donald Trump thinks. And John Kelly isn't the only one saying this. Two of his defense secretaries, people who worked for him, said the same thing. His chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, that is the top of the top brass in our military, said he is dangerous. Now, I happen to know John Kelly and Mark Miller. They served under me when I was commander-in-chief. These are serious people. This is a decorated soldier and Marine who served in battle. They are not, quote unquote, woke liberals. They are people who have never in the past even talked about politics because they believe that the military should be above politics. But the reason they're speaking up is because they have seen that in Donald Trump's mind, the military does not exist to serve the Constitution or the American people. He doesn't see being commander-in-chief as a solemn, sacred responsibility, just like everything else. He thinks the military exists to do his bidding.
Just because Donald Trump is a goof, just because he is crazy, just because he talks about Hannah Bohr or the size of Arnold Palmer's putter, to put it bluntly, doesn't mean he's not dangerous, doesn't mean he's not still a threat to democracy. Just because he acts ridiculously doesn't mean that he is not an unserious man whose actions have very serious consequences. And of course, we have to continue to talk about that. And as Jesse kind of alluded to, and Jessica was talking about, we need to talk about that, especially with young voters like myself. I'm always doing everything I can to reach out to my friends, to reach out to other young people. But someone who did a great job of doing so tonight, and she's doing the best job, it's VP Harris at a rally in Atlanta, right here.
I say to our young leaders, this is not theoretical. This is not political. This is your lived experience. And what I love about you is you are not waiting for other people to figure this out. So I see you and I see your power, and I know so many of you are voting for the first time and know that our future is so good with you all at the helm. And I'm so proud of you. Can we hear it for our young leaders and first-time voters?
That is a message that resonates with young voters. Not anything that Jesse Waters is talking about. I don't know what he thinks his connection to the youth is. It's probably as strong as his connection to his family's Thanksgiving this year, and in that it does not exist and won't, and thank goodness for that. It's helping a lot of people out, and Jesse's not one of them, but that makes me happy. It's nice to see bad things happen to bad people, and we are going to continue to call out the lies of Jesse Waters every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, you can leave a like on this video, and if you're stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.